The phone rang at 2 a.m., not a scam call, not silence on the line. A voice, soft, familiar, impossible. I sat up in bed, heart racing, hands shaking, because the voice on the other end said my name the way only one person ever did. Then she whispered, "Please don't hang up. They told me I could only call once." My blood turned cold, because my wife has been dead for 26 years. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you're listening from in the comments. My name is Edward Collins. I'm 67 years old and I live alone in a quiet part of Savannah, Georgia. I buried my wife in 1999, held her hand until it went cold, watched the coffin lowered into the ground. I grieved. I moved on. I accepted the silence. But the call I received 3 nights ago didn't just reopen old wounds. It pulled me into a truth so disturbing that I still check my phone every night at exactly 2 a.m. because part of me is terrified. And part of me is hoping the phone rings again. I didn't answer the phone at first. At 2 a.m., you learn to ignore calls, wrong numbers, drunks, scams pretending to be urgent. The phone buzzed again. Once, twice, I stared at the screen through the dark. No caller ID, just numbers. My heart was already beating too fast. I picked up. Hello, silence, then breathing, soft, uneven, and then my name. Edward. The way she said it sent a shock through my spine. Not loud, not dramatic, just familiar. The exact tone she used when she wanted my attention without waking the kids. My mouth went dry. "Who is this?" I asked. A pause, then she whispered, "Please don't hang up. They said I could only call once." My hands started shaking so badly I had to sit up in bed. "Who said?" I asked. Another pause, then, "I don't have much time." That was when I knew. I didn't want to know, but I did. "Margaret," I whispered. The breath on the other end caught. "Oh, Eddie," she said softly. "I was hoping you'd remember my voice." I couldn't breathe. 26 years ago, I held that voice as it faded. 26 years ago, I listened to her last breath in a hospital room that smelled like antiseptic and grief. I had replayed that moment 1,000 times in my life. This wasn't imagination. This wasn't a dream. This was her. "Where are you?" I croaked. "I can't tell you that," she said quickly. "And you can't tell anyone about this call." "Margaret, listen to me," she said, urgency creeping into her voice. "If anyone asks, you didn't hear from me. Do you understand?" My chest hurt. "Why are you doing this?" I whispered. "You're gone. I buried you." "I know," she said. That single sentence cut deeper than anything else. "I know what you were told," she continued. "And I know what you saw, but some things were decided for us." The line crackled. Static hissed like whispering voices. "Who are they?" I asked. Her voice dropped. "People who don't forgive mistakes." My stomach twisted. "Margaret, if this is some kind of sick joke." "It's not," she said sharply. "Eddie, you need to look inside the old cedar box, the one you never opened after I died." My breath stopped. The cedar box. I hadn't thought about it in years. She packed it herself a few weeks before she passed, told me it was just papers. I put it in the attic and never touched it again. "I'm running out of time," she said. "Please," I begged. "Please tell me what's happening." Her voice softened. "I never wanted to disappear on you, but I had to choose between leaving and letting you die." My vision blurred. "What are you saying?" I whispered. "Eddie, promise me something." "Yes," I said immediately. "Anything. Do not answer the phone again tonight. No matter what number it is." Fear crawled up my spine. "Why?" "Because if it rings again," she said, "it won't be me." The line went dead. I sat there in the dark, phone pressed to my ear, listening to nothing. For several minutes, I didn't move, didn't breathe, didn't blink. At 2:07 a.m., the phone rang again, different number. My heart slammed against my ribs. I remembered her words. "Do not answer the phone again tonight." I let it ring, and ring, and ring. Then it stopped. A few seconds passed. Then my phone buzzed with a text message. Unknown number, 3 words. "We see you." I dropped the phone. I didn't sleep at all that night. Every sound felt louder. Every shadow felt closer. At sunrise, I pulled the ladder down from the hallway ceiling and climbed into the attic. Dust coated everything. Boxes from another life, Christmas decorations, old report cards, clothes that no longer fit a man my age. Then I saw it. The cedar box, still where I left it. Still sealed, my hands trembled as I pulled it down. The lid creaked when I opened it. Inside were folders, photos, and a small cassette tape labeled in Margaret's handwriting, "For Eddie if they ever call." My heart pounded. Beneath the tape was a manila envelope, stamped with a government seal, my name typed on the front. I hadn't worked for the government in decades. I tore it open. Inside was a single document, a death certificate, Margaret's name, but the cause of death section was blank. In its place, someone had typed, status, relocated. My knees buckled. I sat down hard on the attic floor. Relocated. I flipped the page. Handwritten in the margin in Margaret's careful script were words that made my blood run cold. They told me you'd be safer if you believed I was dead. Suddenly, everything I thought I knew about my wife's death began to collapse, and downstairs the phone rang again. The phone kept ringing, not constantly, not predictably, just enough to remind me that someone was watching. I unplugged it. Then I sat on the edge of my bed, the cedar box open at my feet, the cassette tape resting in my shaking hand, Margaret's handwriting. I hadn't seen it in decades. The attic felt smaller now, hotter, like the air itself was listening. I climbed down, locked every door, pulled the curtains tight, and sat at the kitchen table. I stared at the tape for a long time before I found my old cassette player in the back of a drawer. My finger hovered over the play button. I was afraid. Not of what I might hear, but of how calmly her voice might sound explaining the lie I'd lived with for 26 years. I pressed play. Static, then a breath, then her voice. Eddie, if you're hearing this, it means they contacted you again. My chest tightened. They promised me you'd be safe as long as you believed I was dead. And they promised me they'd never reach out again. A pause. I guess one of us broke that promise. I gripped the table. Margaret continued, I was never sick. The hospital records were manufactured. The funeral was real, but the body wasn't mine. I closed my eyes. I was given two choices, she said. Disappear completely or watch you die in an accident that would never be investigated. My throat burned. They said your work from the early 90s made you a liability, not dangerous. But inconvenient, I remembered then. The consulting job, data analysis for a private contractor with government ties. I thought I'd walked away clean. I didn't tell you because I loved you, Margaret said softly. Not because I didn't trust you, but because I did. Her voice trembled. They relocated me. New name, new life, new rules. Static crackled. If you ever receive a call from me, it means they're losing control. And if they're losing control, they may come for you. The tape clicked off. Silence swallowed the kitchen. I sat there for a long time before I realized my hands were numb, relocated, protected, monitored, and now compromised. I didn't know who they were yet, but I knew one thing: if Margaret was calling me, something had gone terribly wrong. By noon, I'd done something she told me not to do. I drove, not far, just across town, to the old hospital. The building still stood, but the signage had changed. New owners, new paint. Inside, the smell was different. Less antiseptic, more plastic. I approached the records desk. I'm looking for files from 1999, I said. My wife passed away here. The clerk typed for a moment, then frowned. Sir, there's no death record under that name. My pulse spiked. What? She checked again. Margaret Collins, she repeated. There's an admission record, discharge but no death. I leaned closer. She died here. I signed the papers. Her voice lowered. Sir, this file was sealed. Sealed. Government word. She hesitated, then whispered, There's a note attached, internal only. What does it say? I asked. She looked around, nervous. It says, do not discuss. Patient transferred per Directive 17C. I didn't know what Directive 17C was, but my knees nearly gave out. I left the hospital shaking. Halfway to my car, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I ignored it. Then a voicemail appeared. No sound, just a transcription. Edward Collins, you were warned. My hands trembled as I deleted it. That evening, I noticed something else. A sedan parked across the street, same one that had been there the night before. Engine off, no driver visible, just waiting. I shut off the lights, sat in the dark, and that's when the doorbell rang. Once, I didn't move. Twice, I held my breath, then a voice through the door. Mr. Collins, a man said calmly, we need to speak with you. I backed away slowly. Who are you? I called. A pause, then, friends of your wife. My heart slammed. She's alive, isn't she? I shouted. Silence. Then the voice again. She was safe until she called you. Cold fear washed over me. What do you want? I whispered. To fix a mistake, he said, and to make sure this doesn't happen again. A knock, harder. We can do this the easy way, the man continued, or the permanent way. I moved toward the back door. The man's tone sharpened. Don't, I froze. Edward, he said gently, we don't want to hurt you, but we will protect the program. The program. That word again, I swallowed. Where is my wife? A long pause, then she's not where she's supposed to be. My blood ran cold. What does that mean? It means she broke her relocation agreement, the man said, which means she's scared. My knees weakened. And scared people do reckless things. The door handle rattled. Last chance, he said. I did the only thing Margaret taught me to do. I lied. I don't know anything, I said. I haven't heard from her. Another pause, then the handle stopped moving. Good, the man said, because if you're lying, his voice hardened. We'll know. Footsteps retreated, a car door slammed, an engine started. I collapsed against the wall. Later that night, I checked the cedar box again. At the very bottom, beneath old photos and letters, I found something new, a folded map, marked with a red circle, a place I didn't recognize. And a handwritten note from Margaret. If they come to the house, go here. Ask for the name I gave you. Trust no one else. My phone buzzed, a text message, unknown number, 6 words. We lost her, you can still save her. My chest tightened. Save her, after 26 years. My hands shook as I stared at the map, because wherever Margaret had been hiding, she wasn't anymore. And now they were coming for both of us. I didn't wait for daylight. The map Margaret left behind felt like it was burning a hole through my jacket. A red circle, no street name, just coordinates. I typed them into my phone. A place appeared on the screen. A coastal town, 2 hours north, mostly empty in the off-season. My hands shook. If Margaret wanted me there was no time to hesitate. Before leaving, I did one thing she taught me long ago. I changed cars. I borrowed my neighbor's old pickup under the excuse of a breakdown. Left my own car parked where it was. If they were watching, I wanted them watching the wrong man. The drive was quiet at first. Too quiet, no radio, no music, just the hum of tires and my thoughts looping in circles. She's alive. She's been alive this whole time. The grief I thought I'd survived came roaring back like it had been waiting. About 40 minutes in, I noticed headlights behind me, far back, keeping pace. I slowed. They slowed. I sped up. They did too. My stomach tightened. I turned onto a side road without signaling. The headlights followed. I knew then, this wasn't coincidence. This was pursuit. I took another turn, then another. The road narrowed. Trees closed in. The headlights stayed with me. My pulse hammered. Margaret's words echoed in my head, trust no one else. I slammed the brakes and cut the engine. The pickup skidded sideways onto the shoulder. I jumped out and ran into the trees. Branches tore at my jacket. Thorns scraped my face. Behind me, a car door slammed. Footsteps heavy, confident, not rushing. They knew I couldn't outrun them. I ducked behind a fallen log and held my breath. A flashlight beam sliced through the dark. A man's voice spoke calmly. Edward, you're making this harder than it needs to be. I clenched my fists. You don't understand, he continued. She shouldn't have contacted you. She broke protocol. Protocol, that word again. Another man spoke, closer now. She always had a problem following rules. My chest tightened. Where is she? I shouted. The flashlight snapped toward my voice. Big mistake. The beam blinded me. Alive, the first man said. For now, my heart lurched. She ran, he continued. She thought contacting you would protect her. I laughed bitterly. It did, I said, because now I'm not afraid. The second man sighed. You should be. Footsteps crunched closer. I knew then I couldn't hide. I ran. I didn't know where I was going, just away. The forest thinned near the coast. The smell of salt hit the air. I burst out onto a rocky bluff. Ocean below, dark, violent, dead end. I turned. The 2 men stepped out of the trees, both wearing dark jackets. No insignia, no badges, just purpose. One of them raised his hands calmly. Edward, he said, we don't want to hurt you. I laughed. You already did, I said. You took my wife. The man's expression softened. No, he said quietly. We saved her. That stopped me. What? She was collateral, he continued. Not the target. My ears rang. Target for what? He hesitated, then said the words that made my legs feel weak. For you, the second man spoke now. Your consulting work in the 90s, he said. You uncovered a pattern, financial flows, shell organizations, foreign money. I swallowed. That report was buried, I said, because it was too accurate, the first man replied. It named people who are still powerful today. My pulse pounded, and Margaret, she found the backup, he said. In your house, hidden in an old photo album. I staggered. Margaret had always been observant, careful. She realized, he continued, that if you were eliminated, the truth would die with you. The ocean roared below us. So she agreed to disappear, I whispered. Yes, he said, to protect you. The second man added, and to protect the program. That word again. What program? I demanded. The first man exchanged a glance with the second. Then he said, witness relocation, off the books. My stomach turned. You mean she's been hiding from you? No, he said, she's been hiding for us. My head spun. Then why are you hunting her now? I asked. The man's jaw tightened. Because she didn't just call you. My heart sank. She contacted someone else, he said. Who? I whispered. He looked me straight in the eye. The people you exposed. The world seemed to tilt. They thought she was dead, he continued, until 3 days ago. The second man spoke softly. They traced the call, not to you, to her. My throat went dry. She's in danger, I whispered. Yes, the first man said, more danger than you. I laughed bitterly. Then why threaten me? He stepped closer. Because if they can't find her, he said, they'll come for you. Silence stretched between us. The ocean crashed below. Finally, I asked the question that had been tearing at me since 2 a.m. Did she ever stop loving me? The man's face softened. No, he said immediately. She talked about you every day. Tears burned my eyes. Then take me to her, I said. I'll do whatever you want. The second man shook his head. You can't. Why not? I demanded. Because, he said quietly, she left you something. I froze. What? A choice, the first man said. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small envelope. Margaret's handwriting. My hands trembled as I opened it. Inside was a note, 6 lines. Each one felt like a knife. Eddie, if you're reading this, they found me. Don't come after me. Expose the truth. Let me go. My knees buckled. The first man spoke gently. She knew they'd follow you. The second man added, and she knew you'd choose her over the truth. My chest heaved. She wanted to protect the world from what you found, the first man said, and protect you from choosing wrong. I clenched the note. What happens now? I whispered. The man looked toward the ocean. Now, he said, you decide. I looked at the waves crashing below, at the darkness, at the past I'd buried, at the wife who sacrificed everything for my life. I knew then there was no safe ending, only the right one, and somewhere far away, a phone rang again. The ocean didn't care about my choice. It kept crashing against the rocks below, steady, indifferent, ancient. The 2 men stood quietly, giving me space, not mercy. Time. I looked at Margaret's handwriting again, the loops, the careful spacing, the slight slant she always had when she was afraid but trying not to show it. Expose the truth. Let me go. I pressed the note to my chest. 26 years ago, I let her go because I thought death had taken her. Now she was asking me to let her go again, this time by choice. I won't run, I said finally. I won't hide, and I won't trade the truth for my own comfort. The first man nodded slowly. I was hoping you'd say that. The second man stepped back, lifting a small device to his ear. She's ready, he said quietly. My heart jumped. Ready for what? I demanded. For the truth to surface, the first man replied. For everything you uncovered to finally be seen. He met my eyes. And for her to disappear one last time. My throat closed. Will she be safe? A pause. As safe as anyone can be, he said honestly, but only if this ends now. I nodded, because deep down I knew something else too. Margaret hadn't just survived all these years. She had lived a different life, a hidden one, but a life. And dragging her back into my arms would only put her in a grave for real this time. They drove me back in silence. No sirens, no threats. Just the hum of tires and the weight of a lifetime settling into my bones. At dawn, I was seated in a small room with no windows and a single recorder on the table. Start from the beginning, the man said, so I did. I talked about the consulting work, the patterns I found, the financial flows that didn't make sense. I talked about the backup report I never knew existed. And finally, I talked about Margaret, how she found it, how she understood the danger before I ever did. She saved you, the man said quietly. No, I replied. She saved everyone. The recording light stayed red for hours. When it finally clicked off, something inside me felt lighter, like a knot that had been tightening for decades had finally loosened. 3 weeks later, the world changed. Not loudly, not with explosions, but with documents. Names appeared in headlines. Foundations collapsed. boards resigned. Quiet men with powerful friends suddenly disappeared from public life. The story wasn't about me. It was about corruption, about buried truths, about a system that ate its own secrets. That was exactly how Margaret wanted it. I stayed quiet. I sold the house, moved somewhere smaller, quieter. No photographs on the walls except one Margaret and me, young, laughing, unaware. At night, I still woke up sometimes at 2 a.m. Old habits die hard, but the phone never rang again. 6 months later, a letter arrived. No return address. No stamp, just my name written in handwriting I knew better than my own. I didn't open it right away. I made tea, sat down, then I unfolded the paper. Eddie, if you're reading this, it means the world didn't end. That's good. I smiled through tears. I'm safe. I'm somewhere warm, somewhere ordinary. I walk every morning. I argue with the radio. I make coffee too strong. I laughed softly. I still talk to you. I just do it quietly now. My chest ached. You did the hardest thing. You chose the truth even when it meant losing me again. That's why I loved you. I closed my eyes. Don't look for me. That's how this works. But don't think for 1 second that I disappeared because I was afraid. The ink darkened where she pressed harder. I disappeared because I was brave. I folded the letter carefully, held it to my heart, and for the first time since that phone rang at 2 a.m., I didn't feel haunted. I felt proud. People sometimes ask me now if I believe in ghosts. I tell them no. I believe in choices, in sacrifices no one sees, in love that survives silence, in truth that waits patiently until someone is strong enough to let it breathe. My wife didn't come back from the dead. She never left. She just stepped into the shadows so the rest of us could stand in the light. And every night when the clock passes 2 a.m., I whisper the same words into the quiet room, "Good night, Margaret." Because somewhere out there, I know she's listening. And for the first time in 26 years, that's enough.